about my struggles with this game for the past several months. So this game is timed in real time, so including all the loading zones and everything. And on console, those loading zones are a good 2 to 3 times longer than they are on PC. However, you can only play this game on PC either through a disc. So it's a struggle. There's no like PC Steam or online version of this game. So I had to do some finagling to get it to work, and my computer's not that great. So the one time I tried to stream Sonic Riders on PC, it was laggy to the point of unplayable. So I ended up having to just record and grind offline, which made me a little sad. I love streaming these attempts live. And so one afternoon, I just banged out this great run and broke the world record. And I'm super excited to finally share it with all of you guys. And this will actually give me the chance to put some commentary over it because I had my mic off when I originally recorded this. So if you'll excuse the poor, Windows video player quality, let's get into it because this is a solid, half-hour run. I need to go over here. Hey, look, it's my mouse. Hey, look, it's the file name. Spoiler alert. Also, anyone that's active in the chat, let me know how the audio balance is with the desktop audio and my microphone. That would be greatly appreciated. Alright, I think this is immediately going just right into it. Oh, so one of the other things that I should mention, one of the things that greatly benefited me during this run, and so as I said earlier, all loading zones are included in the timing method for this game. But there was also a rules change recently, and with that rules change, they added a little side effect. The old rules required you to start all stories runs from a new file. The new rules only required you can run the game from a completed file, and you just have to start from Hero Story, which I will get into more a little bit later, specifically how that helps me. But the gist of it is that the first time you go through Babylon Story, after each level, there's a couple of text boxes that popped up and saying like, "Hey, you unlocked some stuff," But since I'm playing from a completed file, I've already gone through all of it, which means those text boxes don't come up, which greatly helped me. It saved a second or two between each race for the entire second half of the run. So the other handy thing is that I'm also running this with on the PC, but no active file. So also, as you saw when I would run on console, I would take the memory card out so that the game wouldn't save it, which means that between races, it wouldn't pop up with the auto-saving text box that I would have to mash through, which would, take like about a second between each race. And I struggled for a while on PC, because on PC it's obviously still way faster to load it up on the loading times are obviously way faster on PC than console. As you can see there, we're already almost into the next race. But I found it harder to try to skip that text box, that saving text box, but I eventually figured out that when you boot up the game, if you just select no file, then the game won't save any data. So that also saved me some time. So, Middle City, we've come and gone on Metal City. It was it was okay. It obviously, I lost. I was about a 1 second behind afterwards. I obviously could have saved a good chunk of time there. So now we're into the air drift, the pause buffering glitch, whichever you prefer to call it. Splash Canyon. This particular run was excellent. Setups were all good. There wasn't any lag that caused me to drop the drift. I was able to just fly right through it. Ended up being a really good split. This last lap is always tricky because you have to deal with computers, and the computers are just mind-bogglingly annoying. And if you get caught in this turbulence, then it'll carry you away from the ramp. You'll lose time. But luckily, I broke out of it, and I was able to set up the last air drift reasonably well. This angle isn't too great. You want to be as pointed towards the finish line as much as possible, but ended up getting a gold split, and just like that, we're back ahead. Just in time for the race that I always choke on. I just choke on it so much, which would be Egg Factory. So Egg Factory's really only got one skip in it, but it does save about 2 seconds per lap. And I've been really struggling with it recently. So I got it there on the first lap. And there's also a little bit of a skip you can do there, where you can try to squeeze between the boost pads, which, contrary to their name, they do not help you. They, in fact, slow you down quite a bit. But you can fit in between the boost pads and the wall, which means you can keep your boost speed and keep going. But it's a really tight window, and I can never get it consistently. But so far, the first 2 laps of Egg Factory are never the problem. You don't really have to deal with computers very much. This little corner skip out of bounds is easier when you have the level 3 boost. And that right there, I just got the boost pad skip. So now we're just finishing up lap 2 and getting into the annoying lap, because on the 3rd lap, you start lapping people as a speedrunner. And then you have to deal with computers, and they're one of my 2 least favorite things about this game, is that they just get in your way. They can boost you and steal all your rings, which means, you not only do you lose a ton of time just from getting hit, but you also lose your ability to do the level 3 boost, which is a problem. And also, you can attack them, which costs time. Luckily, and the other tricky thing is, again, turbulence. You can get caught in their turbulence there and end up going up that other ramp, which that costs you 5 seconds if you don't take that shortcut. But luckily, for the first time in a long time, I got through that race, and I didn't end up getting stuck in the turbulence. I didn't fall off. So I got a huge gold split there, and just like that, I'm 10 seconds ahead of my previous PB. So right at the start of Green Cave here, there's another tough skip where you jump off the side of this ramp and you try to squeeze around this wall and drop down to another part of the track. I really struggle with this glitch on PC. The game handles slightly differently on PC than it does on console, and it makes that trick more difficult to me, at least. But I got it on the first lap. It saves a decent chunk of time each time you get it. But to really save time, you gotta get it 3 times over. Oh, and the other thing I should note about Egg Factory is that I actually could save more time because I hit those computers and ended up attacking them. That cost me a solid second or 2. So I got it twice. The other thing about my Green Cave strats is that in comparison to other better speedrunners, I tend to play Green Cave really, really safe, because you can skip these air rings usually, if you have like a full tank of air and just drift over and boost over, and it saves like maybe half a second to a second on each lap. But if you don't get this spiral skip, then you don't have enough air to make it down, and you lose a lot of time. So I usually play it safe, go with the air rings, because then it fills up my air tank, and so I don't lose as much time if I miss the skip, which is what I just did. And right there, I did miss, there's an air fill item box that I missed that could have made this even just a little bit faster, because now I don't have enough air to go the other route, so I had to ride the air ring a third time. But all in all, getting those 2 out of 3 is, by my standards, really solid. I ended up saving about another 5 seconds off of that split. And so, I know I talked about it earlier, but if you pay attention, right here where it faded to black and showed 2 loading screens, that would ordinarily be where the game would tell me to, that it's saved. But because I didn't load a file, I was able to skip that. Sand Ruins. Sand Ruins, in my previous PB, this 32-44 split that I'm running against, my Sand Ruins was terrible. I was super low on rings. Just, which, if you don't get level 2 early enough in the race, it can cause a lot of problems. So that right there, I just did another boost pad skip. And another interesting thing about my route through this level, it actually kind of backfired a little bit because I was a little low on rings. So my goal with Sand Ruins is I like to be at level 2, almost level 3, when I end the first lap. Because if you're level 3 when you start this lap, you're going to almost completely empty your tank. Which is why, small mistake there. Which is why I deliberately didn't get an item bubble and level up to level 3 earlier, because I wanted to level up here. It did cost me a little bit of time because the item box I got was just air and not rings. I also just failed that boost pad skip. There's just enough space on the outside of that platform for you to go around. Oh, hello. Oh, that might have been an actual lag spike from the game. So even just recording it made the game laggy as all heck. So now, because of the way I routed my air, I have enough air to boost completely through the first half of the lap. And not have any problems with air, and this will still give me enough to finish. And I missed the boost pad skip again. So here, I did make a small judgment error. I did not need to do another trick there. I could have just driven off, and that probably would save me just a touch of time. But again, my Sand Ruins in my PB was horrible. So, I obviously didn't gold split, but I still saved another 8 seconds. And at this point, I'm on PB pace for Hero Story. My PB for Hero Story at this point was a 1440. So at this point, I'm starting to think, well, even if this run doesn't pan out, I at least got a Hero Story PB. Also, Babylon Gardens is a pretty boring, not super broken race. So here in the Turbulence, I have to ride this Turbulence, but I can go a little faster if I go up to each lip and press A, which is why I did a little spin around animation. So this is, up here is probably the most stressful part of Babylon Gardens. This is a 100 ring item box. This is really by far the fastest way to level up. And at this point, again, I'm playing it safe. I deliberately hit those boost pads to lower my speed so that I wouldn't fall off the cliff, because the handling on the board you use in this story mode is garbage. just so bad, and it's really easy to fall off that turn, which costs all your rings, which costs massive amounts of time, like 15 seconds over the course of the race. The other thing I should note is that I do run on controller rather than keyboard, so I did have to wiggle the control stick back and forth that whole time. So the rest of Babylon Gardens is pretty boring, honestly. I don't boost there, again, playing it safe. Now, I have not tested this, so I jump early on that second to last section there, so that I can get not only can I get an X rank on the jump, but I do believe it's faster to take the bottom route there on the first and second lap, because the upper path has a second jump, which would be handy for air, but as you can kind of tell, I don't need more air. I'm already set for the whole race. So I think it's faster because I skip a jump, which saves a little bit of time, because during that jump, I just kind of go straight up and straight down. However, on the last lap, I do think, not 100% certain, I think it's faster to, well, obviously not get stuck in the pit, but I think it's faster to go the upper route to get to the finish line. But I haven't tested that, so I'm not sure. So, as you can see by my split time there, got a good Hero Story PB, 14:30.9, which it has not been verified yet, but that would be third place on the leaderboards. And so there, right there, that gold split is part of that whole completed file assistance that I mentioned. The first time you complete Hero Story on a new file, there's just like 20 things that you unlock that you need to mash A through. But since I'm playing on a completed file, meaning I loaded up the game, did not load a file, completed the whole game, and then started speedrunning. I could skip that. I did not have to. That was such a useless jump. There were no cars there. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. But because I'm playing on a completed file, I went through all of that effort, and I'm playing on an unloaded file, that saved me 4 seconds over playing on a new file. That alone, yeah. I mean, I only have that split there so that I have a good point for when Babylon Story starts, so that I can, if I PB on Babylon Story part of the run, I can submit that to the leaderboard as well. This was also an error on my part. I should have ridden the rail because I was running low on air. I did not, and therefore I lost some time on that second lap. I also got hit by a car on the first lap. File manip OP. Yeah, I actually... So, the way it ended up happening, I didn't go into it planning on loading it, not loading a file. So this is what I should have done in the second lap, by the way. But I didn't go into it planning on doing that. I nearly completed a run that would have been the world record that I choked on. And I said, well, you know what, I saw the rule change. We don't have to play from the completed file. Let me just complete the run. Sheesh! So it's just like, let me just complete the Babylon Story run and go back and start over. And I was like, oh, this is going to save me so much time. Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. So this did give me quite an advantage over the other runs on the leaderboard, because all the other runs on the leaderboard were done when the rule said you had to use a clear file. But, these are the rules as they stand now, so it wouldn't surprise me if more people started doing what I did. Completing a file on PC. Well, oh, here's a mistake. Supposed to take that flying shortcut, so that was a bit of an error. Lost me a couple of seconds. But, as you can also see by the possible time save, we're at 11 seconds of time save on this race. My Red Canyon in my PB was garbage. So, all things considered, at this point when I'm running, I'm thinking, oh god, am I choking? Am I about to choke this run away? This run that is by far the best run I've ever had up to this point. I had already choked. By the time of this run, I had already choked 2 possible world record runs in one day, and this run was better than both. I think I also make another mistake later on. But yeah. Red Canyon is also one of those races that has not been broken yet. So here I made a mistake because I'm supposed to take the flying shortcut, but I was misaligned on the jump, so that cost me a little bit of time. But you will also see the big advantage that comes with the fact that I have no text boxes between races. Because not taking that fly shortcut on the first lap, and having to go around, and not taking the shortcut on the last lap, that should have cost me, like, on an ordinary race, I still would have been behind. But, I still saved 8 seconds on this race, 7.5 seconds. So that ability to not have any text boxes between races ever in the run has huge advantages on this part. So Ice Factory. Okay, so Ice Factory is definitely one of the most stressful races of the run. I need to get to level 3 by the end of the first lap, which normally isn't too difficult. I am a little low on rings here. But there's a skip that I can do on the second and third laps that relies a little bit on RNG, and if I miss it, it costs just a ton of time. And actually, in my previous PB, I did miss the skip. So this is the race with by far the most time saved, almost 21 seconds. So there, I would normally take the power shortcut, but I didn't have 60 rings, so I had to go for a backup strat to get more rings. And it worked, and so now we're going to see the skip in action. This is a death abuse glitch. So I'm going to turn around here, and I'm taking my sweet time on the setup, so I die, and then I respawn significantly further down the track. Now the catch, the thing that makes this trick hard to do on the third lap, is that dying kills all my rings. But, provided, and this is the RNG part, where I got lucky, if no computer hits that 100 rings, I can just hit that 100 rings on the second lap, and all of a sudden I have level 3 again. So I can do the trick again. This trick, I think, saves 7 seconds each lap, depending on how quickly you set up, which I am taking my time on this setup, because again, this is the best run I've ever had, and I did not want to lose it. Luckily, I did not. I got it both times. I was at this point. After I got the trick the second time, I'm just sitting here going, "Oh man, this could be the run." Also, the magnet shield there was super helpful, which gave me level 2, which helped me just go even a little bit faster on the last lap. And now that was a 30. I saved 25 seconds on that race, and that was a 5-second gold split. in part because of the level 2 at the end of the race on the last lap, and also because of the file manip that, that's what I'm going to call it, Talon. So, that right there, all of a sudden, now all I'm thinking is, even if I lose time, all I need is 22 seconds. I just need to be 22 seconds ahead of my PB, and I'll get the world record. So all I'm thinking is lose as much time as I need to finish the run. I don't care if I play perfectly. And this is White Cave, where right here, there's a mistake. I let go of the jump button too late. So White Cave has one skip that isn't too difficult, but again, if you miss it, you can really cause problems for yourself. And it's this skip that you already saw it on the first lap. Basically, I drive off that flying ramp, and I get caught in the gravity of this tube thing, and then I'm able to take this little shortcut. And also on the first lap, there's 100 rigs there, which gives me to level 3. However, if I boost while level 3, it's tricky because on the first lap, how do I explain this? When you boost, there's an initial burst of speed where you can kind of see the camera catch up and you surge, and then there's the speed you have when you are coasting and holding the boost. And when on the first lap I'm level 1, I need that full boost. I need to boost on the ramp to get that little bit of extra speed. Otherwise, I won't get caught in the gravity of the tube. However, if you do that while level 3, then you will miss the gravity of the tube and fly off the course and lose all your rings. So it's a little tricky. Luckily, I got it. I have choked on this race before and lost a lot of time. But this one was pretty good. I did lose about a second on it, though. Which, again, at this point, I'm looking at my splits going, I lost a second. I do not care. It's just get to the end of the run and be actually 32 seconds ahead. Be 32 seconds ahead. That's all I care about at this point. I could lose 25 more seconds. So this race I also had problems with in my previous PB because I missed a ring box that would have gotten me level 2, and unfortunately, I did it again. And again, this made me panic because now I'm out of air, I can't take the rail, computers are passing me, so I'm going to have to deal with the computers. I'm going slow because I'm only level 1, and so I, again, instantly... I had the mindset after White Cave, I was like, alright, I lost 1 second, whatever, don't care. Now I'm immediately almost in panic mode because I'm like, oh my gosh, how much time is this going to cost me? I know I have 10, almost 11 seconds to save on this race based on my PB, but oh goodness, what am I going to do? I get lucky there with a random item box that gave me 30 rings. So that got me to level 2, but I'm still in the middle of all these computers. There's turbulence. I got the item box there, and now I'm level 3. Almost went off the wrong shortcut. I hit the rail. And at this point, I'm finally ahead of the computers. I'm firmly ahead of them. Now I'm just back on. At this point, all I'm thinking is how much time am I going to lose? And will I need to focus up and have a really good end of the run? Because the last 2 races of this, the last lap of this, there's no computers near me, I'm not lapping anyone, so it's just pretty simple execution. I don't need to worry about rings. I just need to hit this rail, and I'm pretty much there. So, but again, the panic at this point, because I had already choked twice on the day that I recorded this. And all I'm thinking is, okay, I'm going to lose time. How much time am I going to lose? Am I going to be close to that 32 seconds that I need to break the record? Or is it going to be better than I think? And the answer, as it turned out, was a lot better than I thought. And I think that this is, in large part to the file minute that I mentioned earlier, because this was not a good dark desert, but I still was able to save 2 seconds. Now we get into Sky Road, which this race, like, I know this race very, very well. I know the skip. This is the easiest air drifting skip you can do in the game. It's just hold right and mash the start button. But, you know, if I choke, you know, it's one of those things where I have to get it. I have to get it 3 times, otherwise the run's dead. Just dead. Nothing I can do. So, you know, I just have to execute. Unfortunately there, I made a mistake. I jumped too early, which this costs, I think, like 3 seconds-ish each time it happens. And, I mean, I can only attribute it to nerves. And, I mean, of all the places I could have made a mistake in this race, I'm glad it was there. Because if I mess up on any of the air drifts or pause buffering glitches, then that's it. Runs over. And here, I overcompensated. I jumped too late, which again cost me a little more time. And I actually know some new strats for Sky Road that are really cool, and I will probably show them off after this video. So here we are, 3rd lap. I got the boost. I'm more than high enough. I'm back in the mode of, okay, I lost some time, but there's no way it's going to be more than like 6 or 7 seconds. So that's fine. You know, just get to the end of the race. I will still be, you know, way ahead of my PB and way ahead of world record pace. So I ended up losing 5 seconds there. But again, when I looked at that time and I'm like, I'm no longer thinking, oh man, I lost 5 seconds. I'm thinking, oh God, please don't choke on the last race. And I'm also thinking, okay, you know, even if I choke on the last race and I lose 45 seconds, which can easily happen, I'm thinking, well, okay, at least I'll PB. But I would have been really upset if I had choked. Spoiler alert, I didn't. So here, this race annoys the heck out of me. It's one of those things where the boss is super easy, but the computers can really get in your way. Because they rubber band so hard, because they think the computers think they're helping you by giving you this turbulence and making you go faster. But I'm a speedrunner, and if I drift and chain drifts at level 1, I will go faster than them even if they're rubber banding. But they can get in my way. So on the 2nd lap, I just kind of decided I gotta ride it, gotta play it out. So I was able to do a drift boost there. So the drifting at level 1 is faster than boosting if you can chain it, but you need to boost to hit the boss. So I did 1 boost to kind of get some speed up, and then I was able to hit him, and we're on the last lap. And right there, what happened there is I messed up my, once you're in the turbulence on the front stretch, it does not do you any good to break out of it and try to drift better. So, you know, your only choice is to ride it out and hope that they're not slow. And so on the last lap, he could do an attack. I ducked under it. I hit him. And now all that's left is to ride this rail and hit the finish line for a new world record. And at this point, I'm screaming while my fiance is, I was so fucking nervous. Okay. Well, okay, let me answer. Hold on, let me talk about what happened when I hit the final boss and when I crossed the finish line. Which also, big gold split. But my fiance, Fedora the Explorer, was making apple pie. And so she was peeling apples with a knife. And I was dead silent, had headphones on, and then just screamed when I hit the final boss. And she was like, thank goodness I wasn't holding a knife. And then I, of course, screamed when I crossed the finish line. And she was holding a knife and got mad and got a little bit salty with me. So, anyways, Microman, to answer your question, after I got so far ahead, how hype was I feeling? I was super hype after Ice Factory. After Ice Factory, I was just thinking, like, this is the run. This is the best I've ever had. This is the best run I've ever had going. I've just got to keep it, like, just got to keep rolling. But I was also, God, I was so nervous because, again, I had 2 world record pace runs going that same day. The first one, I was about 40 seconds ahead going into Sky Road, and I dropped the pause buffering too early and lost the run. And then on the other run, I was 30 seconds ahead going into Babylon Guardian, which I probably I saved like 3 seconds, 4 seconds ish. I could have saved enough time to still break the world record, but I choked on the first hit, and I missed the first hit, which is a 45-second time loss. And so, honestly, once I got a run that good going, I just kind of, my whole mindset went from initially very hype to do whatever it takes to not lose this run. If I lost 10 seconds, if I lost 20 seconds in the last 4 races, I would not have had a care in the world. I just wanted to get to the end and break the world record. And fortunately, with a little bit of help from the file manip, I ended up saving some time, losing a little bit of time, but not as much as I probably would have. I broke the world record. It is officially confirmed on the speedrun.com leaderboards. This record was sitting for a long time. So it had been there for a while. It took 765 attempts, and that was just on PC. That's not counting all of the runs I did on console. It took 765 attempts to get that run. The lag on my PC, it was so bad that I was seriously debating buying a better PC to try to reduce the lag. But luckily, I think completing all of both stories before doing the run really helped reduce the lag. There was only a couple of spots where it showed up. But honestly, I'm just so happy, y'all. I've been wanting this one for a while, and I'm really glad that I got it. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to the commentary. As always, if you have more questions about Sonic Riders, let me know. I love answering questions about this game and speedrunning in general. I'm actually going to set up and I'm going to stream some Sonic Riders on console. So give me about 5 minutes to set that up, and I will be right back.